The wake-up call nobody wants to hear, but everyone needs to. What if I told you that the biggest regret of your life isn't something you'll do, but something you'll never do? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share might just save you from waking up decades from now and asking yourself, where did my life go? I want you to imagine something for a second. You're looking in the mirror, but the person staring back at you, you don't recognize her. She looks exhausted, worn down, and somehow empty. Like she's been living someone else's life for so long that she forgot what her own face was supposed to look like. This isn't some hypothetical nightmare. This is what happened to a woman I know. And her story. It's going to hit different. She's 78 now. And for the first time in her entire life, she's actually happy. But here's the twisted part. She only started living for herself 6 years ago. 6 years. Out of 78. Let that sink in for a moment. For 72 years, she thought she was doing everything right. Being the perfect wife. The perfect mom. The perfect daughter. Always saying yes. Always putting everyone else first. Always shrinking herself down to make room for everybody else's dreams, everybody else's needs, everybody else's happiness. And you know what she got for all that sacrifice? Exhaustion. Resentment, and a life that never actually felt like hers. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's sad, but that was a different generation. That was the 60s and 70s. Things are different now. And yeah, maybe they are. But are they really? Because if you're being honest with yourself right now, how many times this week have you said yes when you really meant no? How many of your own dreams are sitting on a shelf collecting dust because now's not the right time? Let me tell you how this all started for her. She got married at 22. It was 1968. Her mom sat her down and said, "A good husband is all you need. Everything else will follow." So she did what everyone expected. She married a nice guy, a provider. And she became the wife she thought she was supposed to be. She cooked every meal. She cleaned the house. She raised the kids. She supported his career, his dreams, his everything. She smiled on command. She stayed quiet when her gut was screaming at her to speak up. And here's the thing. She wasn't even unhappy. Not exactly. But there was always this tiny voice in the back of her mind whispering, "Is this really it? Is this all there is to life?" And for 40 straight years, she told that voice to shut up and be grateful. When she was 35, something inside her stirred. She'd always loved books, always loved learning. She wanted to go back to school, maybe become a teacher, share that passion with others. But her husband said no. They couldn't afford it. The kids needed her. Maybe later, he said. So she waited. Years passed. The kids grew up. She brought it up again. But now he was thinking about retirement. They'd need to help his aging parents. Maybe in a few years, he said. So she waited again. When she hit 55, his parents had passed away. She thought, okay, now, finally, this is my moment. But right then, their daughter got divorced. Suddenly, grandkids needed babysitting. The family needed stability. How could she possibly think about herself when everyone needed her? So she waited. Again. And then, he died. She was 71 years old. After 42 years of marriage, he was just gone. And for the first time in her adult life, she was completely alone. And she was terrified. Not just because she missed him, though she did, but because she realized something absolutely devastating. She had no idea who she was without him. She'd spent her entire existence being someone's something. Someone's wife. Someone's mom. Someone's helper. Someone's support system. But who was she? What did Issei want? What made her happy? She couldn't answer those questions. And that scared her more than anything else in the world. The first year after he died was brutal. She'd wake up with nothing to do. no one to cook for, no schedule to follow. For 60 years, her entire identity had been wrapped up in other people. And now those people didn't need her the same way anymore. So who was left? But then, about 18 months later, something happened. She was going through some old boxes and found a letter he'd written to her before they got married. In it, he talked about her intelligence, her curiosity, her fire. He wrote about how excited he was to see what she would accomplish in life. She sat on the floor holding that letter and just broke. Because that girl he'd fallen in love with, that curious, passionate, ambitious young woman, she'd buried her. Not all at once, but slowly, year by year, dream by dream. She'd told herself it was selflessness, but really, she'd been disappearing. Right there, at 72 years old, she made a decision. It wasn't too late. She enrolled in community college. Literature classes, art history, philosophy, all the things she'd always wanted to study but never had time for. She was the oldest person in every single class. And she didn't care even a little bit. Because for the first time in decades, she felt alive. Actually alive. She started traveling. Small trips at first. Places she'd always dreamed of seeing. And it was magical. She started saying no to things. And this was the hardest part. Her kids would call. Mom, can you watch the grandkids this weekend? Sorry, I have plans. Her friends would invite her to events she had zero interest in attending. No thank you. And you know what happened? The world didn't end. People adjusted. They figured it out. And she felt lighter than she'd felt in 50 years. Now she's 78. And she finally knows who she is. Not somebody's wife. Not somebody's mother. Just her. A woman who loves literature and art. Who enjoys her own company. Who travels when she wants to. Who says no when she means no and yes when she means yes. But here's the part that breaks my heart every single time I think about it. She wasted so much time. 60 years of her life spent being who she thought she should be instead of who she actually wanted to be. 60 years of putting herself last on every single list. 60 years of making herself smaller so everyone else could be bigger. And those years, they're gone. She can never get them back. So let me tell you what she wishes someone had told her when she was 20, when she was 30, when she was 40, when she was your age. You are not selfish for having dreams. Read that again. You are not selfish for wanting things for yourself. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not selfish for taking care of yourself first. You think you have all the time in the world, don't you? You think, I'll do it later. After the kids are older. After I get that promotion. After I save more money. When things settle down. But things never settle down. There's always another reason to wait. Always another person who needs something from you. Always another obligation pulling at your sleeve. And before you know it, you're 70 years old and you've never lived for yourself. Not even once. Don't make her mistake. Don't wait for permission to live your own life. Because that permission, it's never coming. Nobody's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, now it's your turn. You have to take it. You have to claim it for yourself. If you want to go back to school, go now. Not when your kids are older. Not when your schedule clears up. Now. If you want to change careers, change now. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect amount in your savings account or everyone's approval. Do it now. If you're in a relationship that makes you feel small, leave. Don't stay because you've already invested so many years. Don't stay because you're afraid of being alone. Don't stay because you think it's too late to start over. It's not too late. It's never too late. Your life is not a practice run. This is it. This is the only one you get. And every single day you spend living for someone else is a day you're not living for yourself. I can hear the objections already. But what about my family? What about my responsibilities? What about being a good person? Listen to me. You can be a good person and still have boundaries. You can love your family deeply and still have your own life. You can fulfill your responsibilities and still chase your dreams. In fact, you'll be better at all of it when you're living authentically. Because you can't give from a place of resentment. You can't love others when you're angry at yourself for giving up everything that mattered to you. Here's what nobody tells you. Women, especially, we're taught to be small, to accommodate, to smooth things over, to never rock the boat. And we do it. We do it so well that we vanish completely. But you don't have to. You have choices. You have opportunities. Don't waste them trying to be perfect. Don't waste them trying to please everyone. Because here's the brutal truth. You will never please everyone. There will always be someone who thinks you're being selfish. There will always be someone who's disappointed in your choices. There will always be someone who wants more from you than you can give. But the only opinion that really, truly matters? Yours. Can you look yourself in the mirror and be proud of who you see? Not because of what you've done for other people. Not because of how much you've sacrificed. But because you're living a life that feels true to who you actually are. She looks at young women today and sees them making the exact same mistakes she made. Saying yes when they mean no. Putting their dreams on pause for partners, for kids, for parents, for bosses, for everyone except themselves. Shrinking down to fit into someone else's idea of what a woman should be. And she wants to grab them by the shoulders and say, stop. Stop right now. Your dreams matter. Your voice matters. You matter. Not because of what you do for others, but simply because you exist. It took her 72 years to learn that lesson. 72 years to realize she was allowed to take up space in her own life. That she was allowed to have desires that had nothing to do with anyone else. That she was allowed to choose herself. Don't take 72 years to learn what she learned. Learn it now. Today. This exact moment. She's been living for herself for only 6 years now. 6 years out of 78. And these have been the best 6 years of her entire life. She's happier at 78 than she was at 30. She's more herself now than she's ever been. She's finally free. But she would give anything, to have those 40 years back. To have started living for herself at 35 instead of 72. To have said no when she meant no. To have chased her dreams when she first had them instead of shelving them forever. You still have time. You have so much time. But only if you start now. Only if you stop waiting for permission that's never coming. Only if you stop putting yourself at the very bottom of your own priority list. Your life is happening right now. Not later. Not when things get easier. Not when everyone else is taken care of. Right now. This minute. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to live it for yourself? Or are you going to wake up one day at 78 and realize you spent your entire existence living for everyone else? The choice is yours. But you have to make it now. Because time doesn't wait for anyone. And neither should you. Look, I know this hit hard. I know some of you are sitting there feeling uncomfortable right now. Good. That discomfort? That's your soul trying to wake you up. Listen to it. If this resonated with you, share it. Not for me. But for every woman who needs to hear this message. Every person putting their dreams on hold. Everyone who thinks wanting more for themselves makes them selfish. Everyone waiting for permission to live their own life. The permission is granted. It was always yours to take. Now go live. Really live. Before it's too late. And hey, if this made you think, if this shook something loose inside you, hit that like button and subscribe because we're having more conversations like this. Real conversations. Uncomfortable conversations. The kind that actually change lives. Now get out there and reclaim your life. Your future self is counting on you.